Hello, everyone, and welcome to your weekly soul weather forecast. This is a general reading that is timeless. So whenever you find this, there's probably something in this reading for you. So please take also, since it is a general reading, take what resonates and leave the rest. There might be another one of these readings that more accurately depicts where you are on the timeline, where your energy is at. So, it's always wise to just when you're watching readings, especially on YouTube, if something pops up and you're drawn to it, there might be something in there that you're meant to see, whether it's my videos or someone else's videos. So that's always a good way to do things, is just whatever you're drawn to. That's usually your intuition trying to pull you toward things that are meant for you, that's on the same vibrational energy frequency that you're at currently. So it's trying to help basically steer you in the direction you need to go. So let's go ahead. We pull an oracle card. We're going to pull one real quick here. And we have, this is 14, Drifter, Experiencing Life as It Comes. So that kind of ties into what I just said there at the beginning a little bit. I think that's really interesting that comes up after I said that. It's this is going with the flow. This is truly going with the flow. And if you reduce 14 down, you get 5. And 5 is a number of change that usually signifies, when you're seeing 5s or 55555s a lot, it usually represents that there might be change coming. And it could be a small change or it could be a major change. It just means that something might be, expect something to maybe shift or change in your life. And it doesn't have to be drastic, it doesn't have to be. And, I like the fact that, it says drifter, but I like the fact that there's this little boat here, and it's in this little pathway. Like, there's not very much room for it to go. And so it's like it's being led down a path, and kind of like what we were, what I kind of said at the beginning there is when you're drawn to something, just let yourself flow and go with the flow of what your intuition is trying to pull you towards, because your inner self knows what's best for you. It does know what is for your highest good. So it's always best to let yourself just kind of to go where your intuition leads you, because usually it won't steer you wrong if you actually do listen to your intuition. Unfortunately, most of us have a lot of bad programming that we've picked up in our lifetime, either that's been taught to us by others or that we've picked up through our experiences along the way, that sometimes interrupts or causes blockages for our intuition to really come through, where we maybe, some of us may not trust our intuition and may not listen to it as thoroughly as others. It is something that you have to practice and be open to and get used to, listening to your intuition and seeing things, how your mind, your heart, your soul will pull you in directions and kind of give you signals to tell you you're moving in the right direction. And usually you can tell this by the fact that like, if things are going very smoothly, like it's like when you're going with the current, that you're going along smoothly. If you're going against the current, problems and difficulties and things keep happening, and that's usually our intuition that's trying to course correct us into the direction that we should be heading for our highest good. When we use our free will and our ego and our pride and things like that, or our programming that is maybe been taught against what is our true purpose or our life's calling, then we know when we're kind of going against the grain, because that's when, things keep happening, things keep happening to kind of give us roadblocks. When we have to go over and beyond and keep pushing and knocking at a door to try and get it open, that's usually, a sign that maybe you're supposed to be looking for other avenues or other directions to head, that door is closed for a reason. But sometimes we want to be stubborn and hard-headed, and we want to do what we want to do. And when we try and do that, that's usually when problems occur. Usually when we go with the flow, when we go where our intuition leads us, then we start going down the path, and we're going with the current. And when we go with the current, we experience less problems, less things happen, and things go our way. That's when you feel like things are going your way, when you keep feeling like you're on top of the world and things are going your way. It's usually an indication that the universe is trying to tell you, you're on the right path, to keep going that direction. And you still will, maybe hit some bumps in the road. That's inevitable, because, we can't have good without bad. There's all sides of the spectrums. Can't have ups without downs. You have to have it all. So you will encounter speed bumps, but those speed bumps will be easy to surpass. They'll be like the little tiny speed bumps instead of a roadblock. So let's go ahead. I'm talking so much, haven't even pulled the emoji card. So I'm getting that is kind of where we have been, where things maybe have been a little bit frustrating. And I also feel like we're realizing, I almost am feeling this sense of we're beginning to realize that the difficulties that we've experienced recently are starting to shift. We're starting to see, what we have learned from what we have been going through, and we're course correcting. We're learning, we're learning to navigate those waters a little bit easier and a little bit better than we have in the current times, in the most recent times. And recent times can be 3 months, it can be 3 years, it can be, it depends on, everybody kind of experiences things differently, and depending on, how well you are, how good you are at navigating the current of life. But I feel like, this isn't necessarily a bad card. I feel like it's us becoming aware of what we have been doing. It's kind of almost a little bit of a sense of like beating yourself up a little bit for not seeing it sooner, or not doing something sooner than what you did, or currently, and it's kind of like one of those things that hindsight is 2020, and when you were in the midst of it, you didn't realize what you were doing wrong, or what you were, how you were maybe making your life more difficult at the time. And it's easier to look back on something and reflect and see where you went wrong than you can in the moment. And so this is a little bit, I feel like this emoji card is just a little bit of kind of being hard on ourselves for things that we did in the recent past, even though we had, if we wouldn't have done what we did, we wouldn't learn from it. We kind of have to do things the hard way sometimes so that we can learn from them. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to pull 3 cards for our baseline like we normally do here. And we have the 8 of Pentacles. I like that. Working on something, working away on something to increase our, this is our abundance. Queen of Pentacles represents abundance, but it represents physical abundance, like things that you can actually kind of material you can see, the abundance that you can see, kind of a physical 3D type abundance. And abundance doesn't have to be wealth. It can be, it can be a state of mind. I almost get, like this is more interesting enough. I'm getting a feeling of wealth as far as growing in wisdom is what I'm picking up. that we've been learning, and then we have, yeah, I love this. So we've been working on ourselves that have increased our wisdom, that's leading to us being in a more how do I want to phrase this? A more it's a form of independence, but that's not how I want to say it. It's like when you're, it's like that stage of becoming from a teen to adult. It's like a sense of maturity. It's gaining that wisdom and knowledge that you've learned. You've put in the work, you've done the time, you've learned your lessons. We've learned our lessons from things that, because there's things that we did, we put our efforts towards, and putting our efforts towards those things, we were able to learn something from it. We gained some wisdom, and because we gained that wisdom, we've escalated from the 8 to the 9. Putting in that effort and the work has paid off for us, because now we are wiser, we are wealthier in wisdom. That's kind of how I was trying to phrase it a little bit. Not quite the words I was hoping to use, but I think you can get the understanding. It's increasing your wealth of your wisdom, knowledge, wisdom. You're smarter, more wiser in the world, and how to navigate the world, navigate the currents, learning how to understand how the current of life flows, and how to experience life as it comes, to roll with the punches, so to speak. I hope that makes sense, because that's what I'm really feeling, is this sense of rolling with the punches. Like we've rolled with the punches, and because of that, we've become smarter and wiser. So let's go ahead. We'll go ahead and clarify. I don't know if I'm going to use this. We'll figure it out. Someone's telling me to use the witches to clarify, but then I don't know what I'm going to use. I usually use that for the final cards from the universe, so I'm going to have to figure out what deck to use. It'll tell me at the time once we get there. So on this 8 of Pentacles, we have the Emperor, and that can be our pride and ego, and the High Priest. I love these two. I love that it has these two cards together, especially on this 8 of Pentacles, because it really wraps in with what I was saying, because the Emperor can talk about that stubbornness, that pride, that ego, and how it can get in our way, and how I kind of talked about, where we push and we can knock on those doors, and we're trying to get in a door that we shouldn't go through. But then when we listen to High Priest, is kind of an embodiment of wisdom, and so we've increased our wisdom. It's we've gained some knowledge here. We've learned something from our efforts, and it's not going to waste. Goodness, which I'm glad for. So on the Queen of Pentacles, we have the Knight of Swords and the Wheel of Fortune here. And this is that change, that mental change. I love that the Knight of Swords pops up here, because that is about mental, Swords talks about our mental self. It's air, it's mental, the mind. And here we have, the Knight of Swords. It's learning that truth, that knowledge that changes things for us, that spins that wheel, that changes, and we grow because of it. We've grown, and we've moved into this 9 of Pentacles, where we've gained that knowledge, and we've become wealthier and smarter, as I've said. I love that the cards are backing me up here. So we have, actually, let's see, I'm going to put those back in. I had 2 cards flop out of the deck, but there were 2 there, and I couldn't feel which one to take, so I put them back in the deck, and if they're meant to be, they'll pop back up here as I'm shuffling. So give me 2 clarification cards, please, on the 9 of Pentacles here. 2 clarification cards on 9 of Pentacles. Okay, there we go. The 2 of Wands and the Lovers. I kind of like this, and the Lovers doesn't necessarily, I think I just realized I'm going to have to move these over just a little bit. I think I've got I kind of angled my cards here wrong. Let's move everything over. Make sure we got everything in the window there. Okay, so we have the Two of Wands and the Lovers. And it's funny because the Lovers card traditionally means, if you're not associating it, I know there's a lot of love readings out there. So, a lot of people focus this on love, soul connection type thing. But the Lovers originally meant a choice. It was a choice in, who we choose as our lover. But a choice, this can be, this can be choosing ourselves as well. And I like the fact that this is on this Nine of Pentacles because, this is choosing what is right for us. And the Two of Wands is a crossroads. It is a choice. And because we've gained that wisdom, I love that. I actually kind of love that this is here because I almost feel like, this is the same thing. Like, if you look at those wands as those walls, and he's going down the course, and what course am I taking? What path am I taking to get where I'm going? And we do have a choice, and we always have a choice. But know that the universe is telling us that we've gained some wisdom here, that we're smarter. And so now we can navigate life experiences easier. We can roll with the punches, and we can make the right decisions, the choices. We can make the right decisions to head us on to flow more easily on the current. Because one of the other things with the Two of Wands is that it sometimes can represent, one wand can represent like the lighted path, like toward enlightenment. It's listening to your intuition, and as we kind of talked about your soul, your intuition, where the other wand could be more the shadow side, where you listen to ego, pride, and it can be that conflict between those two choices. It can be both of those. So I think it wraps up nicely with everything and in every dynamic with the Two of Wands there, and knowing that we have the ability to make the choice. And we always have free will, and I kind of feel like these two cards together are kind of talking about that free will. You have the free will and the independence with the Nine of Pentacles. You have the free will to choose the path you want to go down and how you want to experience life, and I love so much of this. I guess that's why it wanted me to use the Witches deck to clarify that, because it just came out perfectly with those cards. And these baseline, that's the Healing Tarot, by the way. Let's see now. So now we're down to using the Universe cards. You know what? I keep getting pulled toward the Light Seers deck. So in Light Seers tends to kind of go. I feel like it kind of plays well with the Healing Tarot deck. So we're going to go ahead and Healing Light deck there. We're going to go ahead and get the last cards for the universe here and wrap this up. But this is, I've loved how these messages have been coming through the last few weeks. I really, really love them. They're interesting. Since we've had the shift, there's been a lot of astrological placement shifts within the last couple weeks, and I've really noticed a difference in what's coming out in the readings since that point. And I love the direction that's going. I love how these readings are turning out. So for our final cards, we have the Four of Pentacles with the King of Swords and the King of Cups. So I kind of like this, because this is really talking about discernment, really talking about discernment, because we have, not only do we have our King of Swords, who usually is really good about, only taking action when it's smart to do so. He takes the logical action, the logical approach to things. And then we have the King of Cups, who can also be very emotionally mature, and makes decisions, is very discerning when it comes to decisions of the heart. So we have someone with the decision, that's really good at making decisions from the mind, and someone that's really good for making decisions from the heart. And then we have the Four of Pentacles, which I feel like that's that discernment of being discerning in the decisions that we make, based, making sure that our heart and mind are in agreement, in alignment, and that make sure that we're letting ourselves roll with the punches. That I don't feel like with this Four of Pentacles it's necessarily like a holding back, but a more mature, discerning energy where we're being smart. We're not just jumping in feet first into decisions. We're being smart about it. We're listening to what our head is telling us. We're listening to what our heart is telling us, and then we're trying to make an educated, wise decision on what direction we want to go, and how we want to experience things in our life. We're not just acting rashly or short-term thinking. We're really thinking about and understanding how we want to experience this life of ours that we're living right now. What do we want out of life? What do we want to gain? Where do we want to go? What type of life do we really want? Are we living the type of life that we really want? It's those kind of things that we're starting to contemplate, and we're working toward trying to, as I said, drift and let ourselves go with the current, roll with the punches, go with the current, to let our heart, our soul guide us, our intuition guide us in the direction that we need to go, that is for our greatest good, that's for our highest purpose, that leads us to where we need to be. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful reading. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. I thank you so much for tuning in and watching this week. And if you're not a subscriber, I hope you will consider subscribing to my channel and hitting, that subscribe button. Also would love it if you hit that like button and let me know whether you liked this video or not. Feel free to leave any comments you want to share with me and everybody else. I do appreciate everyone's support that watches, or in any capacity. Even if you watch for a few seconds, I appreciate you stopping by. So you're probably not hearing this message if you only stopped by for a few seconds, but hey, it's all good. So thank you so much. I wish you the best. Joy, love, and light.